Okay, hi everyone. So today and now we're going to look at the last video, right? The last video of 5.2 where we deal with linear equations with fractions. And the last video we're going to look at the last kind of fractions, the equations with fractions that we'll need to handle. Not to worry, it's going to build on from what we did with chapter 4. Alright, so over here we're going to look at exercise 5a, specifically question 9, questions A, B, and D. Right, so for this one we'll be solving 3 questions over here. So first, let's take a look at A. Right, let's start off with A over here, and we have 10x minus 5x plus 4 over 3 is equals to 7. Now the problem with this is if you were to move something left or right, we still get a fraction, alright? So I think one way we could do it is you can move the 10x to the right, and we can multiply the 3 on top, and then we can solve as usual. Okay, now let's say if we are unable to do that, so if you want to combine everything into one single fraction, what should you do? Right, so remember what we did in chapter 4. When we have two separate fractions, to combine them together we need a common denominator. So the idea here is, in order to combine two fractions or more fractions, right, we will need a common denominator. Right, so technically speaking, for part A, we can actually move the 10x to the right and do the cross multiplication or whatnot. An alternative method is we can find our common denominator. So over here we have 10x over 1 on the left hand side, and we need to multiply with 3, and we balance it by multiplying with 3 on top. So the idea about balancing is either you balance top and bottom, or you balance left and right. Okay, so with this, what we're going to do over here is, let us combine this. So 3 times 10x will give me 30x minus of bracket. The bracket, very important, right? So like that, and the whole thing over 3, right? Whole thing over 3. So we have something like this, equals to 7. Okay, so let us expand this thing over here. So 30x on top, now minus this, minus that. You see that? Right? And whole thing over 3. Oh dear, okay. Whole thing over 3. Okay, so with this one over here, we will simplify the top first. The top we have 25x minus 4 over 3 is equals to 7. And now we can't do much already. We have to multiply the 3 to the other side. So we will do a single cross multiplication over here. So we have 25x minus 4 equals to 21. So how to balance it out? So we have to plus 4 on the left, plus 4 on the right. So we'll get 25x is equals to 25. So x will be equals to 1. Okay, so very simple, very straightforward. Okay, so the idea is just at the top, right? The idea is just on top. We need to make the denominator the same. Okay, so after making denominator the same, we can just simplify everything, and we cross multiply the denominator to the other side. Okay, alternatively, this one can move over here, and we can multiply the 3 to the other side as well. Okay, so whichever method that you choose is fine. Just be careful to balance on both sides. Be careful of brackets, be careful of minus signs, and so on. Okay, so let's move on to question B. Alright, for question B, it will look like this. We are going to start with 4x over 3 minus x minus 1 over 2 equals to 5 over 4. So with this one over here, what we're going to do is, we have two fractions on the left, and we have one fraction on the right. So no matter where you shift, you still get two fractions left and right. So let's combine the two fractions on one side, right, on the left hand side, into one fraction. So 3 and 2, the lowest common denominator is 6. So 3 times 2, and we times 2 above. And then for the other one, we times 3 below. we times 3 above with brackets, yeah, so 3 times the whole thing. So we're going to multiply this together, so 2 times 4x is 8x, minus 3 of this, we combine this as one fraction, we don't expand first, we combine first, and we get this thing over 6, right, equals to 5 over 4. And only then, let's expand, so 8x, we have our negative 3 times this, negative 3 times that, all over 6 equals to 5 over 4. And then now we are ready for let's simplify first. So 8x minus 3x, we have 5x, and then the plus 3 remain there, right, the like terms. So with this, do we need to make common denominator on both sides? We don't need already. We just need to multiply to both sides, alright? So we cross multiply to both sides. We only make common denominator to combine fractions. But over here, we need to get rid of denominator, so we need to cross multiply. Alright, see the purpose over there? So we have 4 times of this, right? And 6 times of that. Okay, so 4 times this, 4 times that is equals to 30. Okay, so we need to minus 12 on both sides in order to get this. So you get 18. Divide by 20 on both sides, right? So we'll be getting x is equals to 9 over 10. Okay, so this is for part B. Okay, so moving on to part C, right? Moving on to part part D, the question will look something like this. So for part D, we have 1 minus y plus 5 over 3 equals to 3 times of y minus 1 over 4. Okay, so let's take a look over here. Now on the left, you have 1 minus that. We should combine both of these into a fraction. So technically speaking, 1, the denominator is automatically 1, right? So we make it to 3. So we multiply by 3 at the top and the bottom. So 3 times 1 is 3, minus of the whole y plus 5. Brackets, yeah, remember the brackets. Over the common denominator 3. And we also have 3 times of y minus 1 over 4. Let us expand the bracket and let's try to simplify. So 3, we have a minus this minus that. Be careful, yeah? So over 3. And on the right hand side, we have 3 times this, 3 times that. Okay, simplify. Minus y minus 2 over 3. It is 3y minus 3 over 4, right? So we can cross multiply. So now we have 2 singular fractions, right? Two single fractions we can cross multiply to both sides. So we have 4 on the left, 3 on the right, right? And now 4 times this, 4 times that, 3 times this, 3 times that. Okay, alright, so we are ready to do some movement. So we have to plus 8 on both sides, so that I will have my minus 4y is equals to 9y minus 1 plus 8 on both sides, yeah? And then I minus 9y on both sides. So I will have my negative 13y on the left, minus 1 on the right. So divide by negative 13, so I will have 1 over 13 as my final answer. Right? Divide by negative 13 on both sides. Okay, so with this, we are finally done with linear equations with fractions, right? 3 long videos for this. However, you need to take note, sometimes it's easier to shift left and right. Sometimes we cross multiply to get rid of the denominator. And when we combine 2 fractions into 1, we consider common denominator. So you have to be very clear on when are you combining 2 fractions to 1 and when are you getting rid of the 2 denominators, right? So the 2 actions will resemble, we have 2 different purposes. So this ends our video and hope you have a nice time maneuvering questions from this part. Okay, so that's all.